Welcome back. Finally, let's look at the common carrier. The carrier of persons, goods, for rewards must use the utmost care and diligence for their safe carriage, because they must provide everything necessary for the purpose and must exercise to that end a reasonable degree of skill. Otherwise, they are not worth trusting goods into their care. So as part of that duty, carriers are bound to provide vehicles that are safe and fit for the purpose to which they are put, and are not excused for default in this respect. Because if there's any mishap or any manhandling of somebody's cargo in respect without taking due care, they will be held liable. So it is always incumbent upon them to ensure that the right things are done, so that we don't have problems on our hand. Because when it comes to that, it bounces back to the association as well as any other member. So it's good we take good care when dealing with the carriage of persons' goods. Then this elevated standard of care for common carriers has its origin in English common law. It is based on a recognition that the privilege of serving the public is as a common carrier necessarily entails great responsibility, requiring common carriers to exercise a high duty of care towards their customers. So common carriers must use the highest care and vigilance of a very courteous person. They must do all that human care, vigilance, and foresight reasonably can do to, under the circumstances, to avoid harm to passengers or to their property. So while a common carrier does not guarantee the safety of its passengers or property that it transports, it must use reasonable skill to provide everything necessary for safe transport in view of the transportation use and the practical operations of the business. So common carriers must use the highest degree of care in constructing, servicing, inspecting, and maintaining their vehicles and equipment for transporting passengers or property. A common carrier is responsible for a defect in its vehicles and equipment used for transporting passengers or property if the common carrier is there. So while a common carrier does not guarantee the safety of its passengers or property, it must be reasonable, it must use reasonable care to provide everything possible for safe transportation in view of the transportation use and the practical use. So, like I said already, they must use the highest degree of care in constructing, servicing, inspecting, and maintaining their vehicles and equipment for transporting passengers. And a common carrier is responsible for the defect its vehicle and equipment use for transporting property of passenger post to post. If the common carrier, if he created the defect or knew of the defect and would have known of the defect if it had used the highest care. To prove that an entity was a common carrier, You must name the plaintiff. You must prove that it was in the business of transporting the property of the general public. And in deciding this issue, you must consider whether any of the following factors apply. That this common carrier is a common carrier, and that the carrier maintains a regular place of business for the purpose of that. Not that today is in Cape Coast, the next day is in Tamale. You don't even know his office. You don't even know where to locate him. No station. If you do business with such a person, your cargo will dissolve in Abubushi or Kumasi or Teshin or Ashama like sugar dissolved in Gari. So transporting passengers for the property, that he's been doing that, and the carrier advertises its services to the general public. Then that the carrier charges standard fees for his services. Often overlooked is the heightened duty to have qualified employees, as well as policies and practices in place, which will advance the goals and legal requirements of this heightened duty. So don't overlook this. It's important to ensure that the one you are employing is very qualified, and the policies that he's using, they are also good, and it's in good practice. Private carriers. There are private carriers that are such as they carry for hire and do not come within the definition of common carrier. Certain prominent characteristics mark the difference between those two classes. To impress upon one the character of common carrier, it must be shown that he undertakes generally and for all persons indifferently to carry goods and deliver them for hire. So you must take a note of this. The common carrier, he does business for all. A private carrier may not do for everybody. And that his public profession of his employment be said that if he refuses without some just ground to carry goods for anyone in the course of his employment for a reasonable and customary price, he will be liable to an action. That's the public person, the common one. On the other hand, the private carriers are not bound to carry for any person unless they enter into a special agreement so to do. When therefore one devotes his property to a use in which the public has an interest, he in effect grants to the public an interest in that use and must submit to be controlled by the public for the common good to the extent of the interest he has thus created. But so long as he uses his property for private use, and in the absence of devoting it to public use, the public has no interest therein, which entitles it to a voice in its control. So please take note of the private carrier and then the common carrier. Whilst one does all and is subject to the rules and regulations, that's the common carrier. The private person does not, unless otherwise he decides to do that. On that note, let me thank you very much for being here with me, for having been part of this discussion. I'm looking forward to hearing from you or participating in your exams. We quickly want to do this so that I can graduate with the coming graduates. Thank you very much and God bless you.